Brian and Kenzie on Q101. It is Friday, and that means it's time for Case's movie reviews. Now, Case has been in Vegas all week, so he's checking in.
High roller sweets.
Let's make sure everything works okay. Case, can we hear you okay?
I'm here. How do I sound?
Do you miss us?
Oh, yeah.
Fun in Vegas.
Oh, yeah. I'm having a blast. Yeah.
He doesn't miss us. I'm not having a blast in Vegas.
It's all right. I'm crying every night.
So we had found out through a deep dive that Case has already seen Ocean's 11 and The Hangover. So obviously the next movie comes to mind is Swingers. And let's get right to it. Case's movie review. Let's go.
Vegas, baby.
For Christ's sake, tomorrow's the 4th of July, and we will be open for business.
What country you from? What ain't no country I ever heard of? They speak English and what?
Utah. Give me 2.
Do you enjoy pain?
Pain don't hurt.
Wax on, right hand. Wax off, left hand.
Now fry like bacon, you little freshman piggies. Fry, fry.
Playing football at West Canaan may have been the opportunity of your lifetime, but I don't want your life.
Let's go. Swingers released October 18th, 1996. Unbelievable. Budget was only $250,000. Made by Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau off credit cards. I'm sure Casey's going to get to a little bit of that. The box office, though, was $4.6 million, so a big win, but really made it later on when it got to, Blockbuster and video rentals. On the review website Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 88% based on 56 reviews with an average rating of 7.7 out of 10. And director Doug Liman talks about that. You want me to get into a little bit of that right now, Casey? You want to mention the Doug Liman
No,
stuff?
feel free. Go ahead.
Because the director said, I got a call from someone at Buena Vista Home Video who said, Miramax screwed up. Your movie is way too good to disappear like that after it goes to the box office and disappears. Your movie, we want to give it a huge push on home video. They used to have these events where they'd fly the owners of Blockbuster and all the video store chains out to LA for 3 days, and Mel Gibson would give the keynote address.
I'm sure that was entertaining.
Wow, that's awesome.
They were going to make the whole weekend Swingers themed and do events at the Derby and screen Swingers for all of them. So suddenly, if you went to a video store, there'd be like 20 copies of Swingers, like it was a big movie, even though it really wasn't. It was more of an independent, small movie. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons why it took off. And people like me have now seen Swingers over 100 times. Love it to death. Love it. I want to get right to it, Case. So first, the trailer of Swingers back in October 18th, 1996. Here's what it sounded like on TV in a commercial.
I don't want you to be the guy in the PG-13 movie everyone's really hoping makes it happen. I want you to be like the guy in the rated R movie. You're a bad man. You're a bad man. You're a bad.
In the city of Los Angeles, where everyone is a player.
What do you guys do?
Oh, I'm a producer.
Mike can't even get a seat on the bench.
Where do I know you from?
You ever been to the Ha Ha Hole on Pico?
Oh, you're a comedian.
It's it's a dream. It's a lot of hard work and travel.
I know where it is. Starbucks. You came in and asked me for an application.
But now his closest friends are getting him back into the swing of things.
Vegas, baby, Vegas!
This happens to be a $100 minimum bet table. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at one of our lower stakes tables.
How you ladies doing this evening?
What do you drive?
Cavalier.
It's a nice touch.
So how long do I wait to call? 2 days is like industry standard. Well, how long are you guys going to wait to call your babies? 6 days.
Miramax presents the film that had an entire country on its feet.
You know what, big boy? You're grown up.
Swingers.
That's a very long trailer. Holy crap.
Well,
It felt like the movie.
Well, everybody's curious. Like, I'm getting texts from Stephen Oak Forest right now, checking and going like, oh, is this the life that you're living while you're away from the show? And no, I am sorry to report Stephen Oak Forest and everybody else that it's not. I'm living a different experience, but I have to say Swingers immediately falls in to that category of movie, much like Twister that I watched a year ago, where it's not technically speaking one of the best movies I've ever seen, but it has immediately vaulted up the list of one of my favorite movies that I've ever seen.
Oh, I'm glad, because I was worried you were going to trash this movie. And it's so dear to me. For me, this movie is like a documentary.
Well, it felt like that. Like, the dynamics of this show felt like they were perfectly represented in Swingers, where Brian is Vince Vaughn, I am Jon Favreau, and Kenzie is the guy that pulls a gun on people in the parking lot. It felt like this was the show. It was awesome.
Kenzie, remember the scene where they almost get jumped. And
this
then
is going to be the whole review. Is Brian going, remember the scene?
No. And then Sue, they called it, his name was Sue. He goes like, what'd you think House of Pain was going to do?
I'm that guy?
Yeah, you are.
Guy.
Oh, 100%
right.
Kenzie. You are him.
Who else would you be?
I don't know.
You're
I'm
that
funny.
guy.
I could
No.
be Vince Vaughn.
You're that guy.
But you're also that person that would pull the gun out.
Okay, that's fair. Now that you say it like that.
It's a compliment, actually.
I found this movie to be really strangely emotional, and I don't know if anybody's ever had that take on swingers before, but very rarely in TV or movies, or even music for that matter, have I seen somebody that was acting that I related to on such a deep level. But I do feel like I am Jon Favreau's character in this movie. I am unsure of myself. I am deathly afraid of women, yet I constantly crave the attention of women. And it's a vicious cycle, let me tell you, because all you want is for women to talk to you, and yet you are terrified to talk to women. And not to jump too far ahead, but when they finally get to the end of the movie, and for those that haven't seen Swingers, Jon Favreau spends 90 minutes trying to get over this girlfriend that he left New York for, and he moved to Los Angeles, and then at the very end, after the entire movie where he's been waiting for her to call and waiting for her to call and waiting for her to call, he meets Heather Graham about 70 minutes into the movie. And then Heather Graham calls at the same time as his ex-girlfriend. He takes Heather Graham's call and hangs up on the ex-girlfriend.
Yay.
It moved me because I remember being in that spot, getting out of, I've been in, 2 long-term relationships in my life.
This is gonna be
Greg.
Kenzie, this is going to be a therapy session all of a sudden, I think.
No, it's just, it took me a long time. It takes me a long time to move on from any sort of heartbreak. I'm aware of that. I'm what some would define as a little bitch, very emotional.
Jeez.
And so
This took a dark turn, this review.
No, because I love this movie. But I remember just how hard it was to move on. And then when I met my current girlfriend, 2.5 years now, all of a sudden, much like when Heather Graham came into his life, it was like, oh, none of the other stuff matters. Nothing in the past matters. This is what I'm going to focus on now. And I really found this movie, yes, it's a little bro-y at times, and yes, it's a guy's movie, and I normally hate male bonding. It's not something that I excel at, but you know what? I love this, and I thought it was a really emotional and heartwarming movie.
It really is. And just, to point out, Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau met on another movie you reviewed, Rudy.
Yes.
Because people forget they're both in there. I mean, Jon Favreau was a much bigger role, and then they wrote this movie basically and did the movie off their credit cards, maxing out credit cards. The apartment that he's in is actually where he lives, where Jon Favreau lived in real life.
And it was right above where actor on Severance now, Adam Scott lived. Adam Scott lived on the bottom floor. Jon Favreau lived on the top floor.
Nuts. But you're not alone in this, that every guy watching this movie thinks at times or wanted to be Vince Vaughn's character, but really you're all Jon Favreau's character, where you're insecure, and nothing's more insecure than the phone conversation, the answering machine
good Lord.
scene. Remember when you had to call somebody and leave a voicemail on an answering machine that you couldn't delete and approve it? When you call now, you can go, I'll delete it and start over. Nope. This was a scene where I stood up and walked to the TV. Stop calling. Don't, you angry start screaming at the TV. Here's that scene.
Hi, this is Nikki. Leave a message.
Hi, Nikki. This is Mike. I met you at the Dresden tonight. I just called to say that I had a great time, and you should call me tomorrow or in two days, whatever. Anyway, my number is 213-555-4679.
Oh!
Hi, this is Nikki. Leave a message.
Hi, Nikki. This is Mike again. I just called because it sounded like your machine might have cut me off when I before I finished leaving my number. Anyway, and also sorry to call so late, but you were still at the Dresden when I left, so I knew I'd get your machine. Anyhow, my number is 21.
Oh my God.
Hi, this is Nikki. Leave a message.
213-555-4679. That's it. Just want to leave my number.
Oh, and I love the line after. He goes like, "I don't think I'm some kind of stalker or anything." Oh, it's so relatable to remember those times. Oh my God.
Again, I find it to be an absolutely fascinating movie. It's a movie that I'm going to rewatch over and over again. I will briefly touch on, we watched this because it's a Vegas movie. It's part Vegas, part LA. It's a very interesting geographical movie in the sense that the LA stuff feels so LA and the Vegas stuff at the front of the movie. I will say I was so sucked in from the start because they really do a good job of portraying this idea that anything could happen in Vegas. You could meet anybody, any woman at any time, and anything could happen.
And what has happened to you so far, Case?
I have watched professional wrestling with other men in black T-shirts.
How many hookers in your room right now?
Come on, give us the number.
I honestly think it might be easier to tell people that I went to Vegas and got with hookers rather than telling them what I'm actually doing. It'd be far less embarrassing.
There's so much. I could talk about this movie for an hour.
It's the movie you quote the most because I got confused watching this because Vince Vaughn keeps on saying, "You're money, babe, and you don't even know it." And Kenzie, you didn't know me when I was single, but Brian used to tell me that every day. But then I got confused because the other movie, is it Jerry Maguire?
Yeah.
Well, that's a movie. I don't know what you're about to say. That is a movie.
So he says, what does he say in that? Because I thought Your Money and You Don't Even Know It was you quoting Jerry Maguire because you quote both all the time.
Show me the money.
Show me the money. Okay, I kept on waiting for Vince Vaughn to say, show me the money, but he kept on saying your money and you don't even know it.
Kenzie, he's exactly right. Every time he came with some, a girl he connected with on Hinge or whatever.
Some horror story.
No, I wasn't going to say that. And he was like, I'm not going to go through with it. I go, come on, man, your money. You don't even know it.
Men love quoting this movie because, my husband literally just last week kept doing there's a big bear. You can't kill the body. You can't kill the body. She wouldn't stop. And I'm like, please I'm not one of your bros, man.
You're like a big bear, man.
I love it.
This movie took over my life for about 3 or 4 years, and I've seen it over 100 times.
I think it's going to take over my life. A phenomenal film. Brian, I'll throw it to you, the swingers expert. What should I rate this movie out of?
In Beautiful Babies.
In Beautiful Babies.
But before you do that, I got to say one more thing. I actually got a chance to hang out with Jon Favreau once. It was the movie screening for Elf here in Chicago. It was a VIP screening because he did that movie.
And you were there because you're a VIP.
Of course. And all of a sudden I found myself with Jon Favreau and just the movie person, and that was it. It was the three of us. And the girl walked away. And I'm alone with Jon Favreau for about 5 minutes.
Wow.
And all you did is movie quotes?
Kenzie, you have no idea. I became Chris Farley and go, remember the scene in Swingers when you were on the phone? But then at the end, that was awesome. And he was so nice, but you could see he was like, dear God, someone save me. Someone please save me. And
that was the last time they did a VIP screening in Chicago.
They all ended after that. They're done. They canceled them all after that.
You killed the industry.
Okay, so how many Beautiful Babies out of 10 are you giving this movie?
8.5 Beautiful Babies out of 10.
Good.
I loved this movie. This was so good. 90 minutes, never dragged. Every scene's funny. Every scene's interesting. This is a proper movie, if you ask me.
Kenzie, here's what we're going to do. October 18th, 2026.
Okay, so 18 months from now.
Will be the 30th anniversary of Swingers. The three of us fly to L.A. I'll pay for it. We run
I'm in.
I'm not done yet.
That's fine.